Hey y'all, we're back with another video. Today's video is about why it's important to not care what people have to say about your life. I don't plan on this being a long video. Reason number one. The first reason I feel like it's important to not care about what people have to say about your life is there's always going to be somebody talking, regardless if you're doing good or bad. And a lot of this talk comes from either you doing something that someone discourages themselves from doing, or their family or friends and peer groups are discouraging them from doing, or you're just doing something they're scared to do. A lot of people live in fear, and they let fear live their life instead of them living their life and conquering their fears. And as unfortunate that is for them, it's not that bad for us. We don't do that, right? We don't do that. So like I said, people gonna talk regardless. If you do something, if you take a risk, people gonna tell you reckless. If you don't take the risk and you play it safe, they're gonna tell you that you have no ambition and no courage to break yourself out of that box and keep going. So don't even listen to the sidebar banter that people have to say. People gonna judge you regardless. You wanna make sure that you putting yourself in those better positions in life. And if you gotta take risks to get there, that's just what you gotta do. And if you don't, then don't. But it's okay to let the people talk on the side and let them do what they do. Reason number two kind of piggybacks off of reason number one, but this is your life. This is your life, not anyone else. It's not your mama life, your daddy life. It's not your friend's life. You have to do what you got to do to put yourself in the best position possible to win. You got to put yourself in the best position to win, the best position to fight that fight. In this battle that we go through every day called life, you have to be the person putting yourself in those positions. So even if somebody is talking to you, speaking fears into your plans, etc., in one ear and out the other, literally. If that's what you feel like you need to do to survive in the jungle, that's what you need to do to survive in the jungle. Because at the end of the day, I'm not the person that's going to tell you to wait for somebody to come save you. No one's coming to save you. You have to save you. So if you have to put yourself in a position to where you can save yourself, do that. Because I'm going to make sure I'm going to eat every time. If it ever came down to it and I was in a jungle full of people and they was like, figure out how to eat, I bet you I'm going to be in the best position to have a couple meals. And I hope you do the same. So sometimes you do have to weave out certain things, weave out certain people. And speaking of, that brings me to my next point. My third point and reason is a lot of people live their life in fear. You don't want to be one of those people that when you get old, you're on your deathbed and you're like, well, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't do this, I chose a safer route. Or I chose the route that everyone else told me to take instead of the route that I wanted to take, and now you have nothing to show for it, or the things you have to show don't align with your personal values. Because you don't have to take risks. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not telling you to do that. If that's you, that's you. And if it's not, it's not. But if you are a risk taker, take the risk if you need to. I'm going to take the risk every time. What Thug say? Why not risk life if it's going to keep going? It's just something about the reward that comes with the risk. You really just got to throw yourself out there and do it. Sometimes you got to leave them friends alone. Yes, you. Sometimes you have to leave them friends alone. Sometimes you meet people and they come into your life to keep you stagnant. You don't want to stay stagnant. You want to keep growing, keep thriving in life. Once you get to that point where you're no longer elevating, you might need another peer space. Yourself, you don't want to get caught in that stagnant cycle of just living repetitively. You're not advancing. You're just living every day the same. You're not improving. You're not changing. You're just living every day the same. That's not what you want. And if you're in a peer space of people that are doing that, you might need new friends. And it's okay. One thing that I'm learning at the tender age of 24, it is okay to outgrow friendships. And sometimes and more than often, you're supposed to be friends with people for seasons. I don't feel like everybody you meet, regardless of how long you've been knowing these people, I don't feel like everybody that you meet is supposed to be with you at the finish line. But there are people that are your friends that will help you run this race of life. And you need them through those different moments. But when it's time to pass that baton, it's time to pass the baton to the next opponent. Let's go. The next player on the team. I don't trip about losing. I wouldn't say losing friendships. I don't like to say losing friendships. I'll say I don't like to ponder over friendships. Sometimes we outgrow each other and it's okay. Like, it's not a negative thing, it's not a positive thing, it's more so like a life thing. So if you're in that point in life where you're losing friends, and especially over opinions on your life, let them go. Let them do what they're gonna do, because you're gonna do what you gotta do regardless. Another thing, when it comes to like getting advice from people, now this might ruffle a couple of feathers and I'm ready for the backlash. I do not take advice from people that I wouldn't switch lives with. As in, I don't care who it is, I don't care how much money you got, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. If I see how you live and your life doesn't align with the goals that I've set for mine, I'm not intrigued by your life at all, and I wouldn't switch places with you for 10 minutes. You are not the person that I'm going to come to for advice, and you're not the person that I'm going to come to for... I'm not coming to you for anything, actually. But if you do give me your unsolicited advice, as a lot of people do, especially older people in our families, from the other... as a lot of older people in our families do from the older generations, they like to give us their unsolicited advice. And I'm not saying that everything that they say is everything that they say. I'm not saying that everything that they say to us is wrong, because most of it, I'm not going to say most of it, a lot of it is not. A lot of it is wrong, though. So just take everything with a grain of salt. Like, I don't take nothing that nobody say to me is law. If it's not in that good book, if it ain't come from God above, I don't take your word as law. Okay, so I listen, I hear you, but it's literally just I hear you. And sometimes that's okay. You can listen to stuff and you don't have to perceive it right then in that moment. Like, you can listen to it and absorb it. You might need it for later, but when it comes to people giving you their opinions on the way you live your life, if it's making you happy and you're fulfilled your way, that's all that matters. So another tip is, when you're moving through these different stages, different phases in life, and you're working towards your goals and you're taking these risks and you're making these decisions, you have to work on your self-confidence. I have a video on how to spot fake confidence, but I need you to be able to exude real confidence. And you also need to be able to you also need to be able to tell whether you're talking to a person who has real confidence or it's false confidence. Now, I'm all with the faking it until you making it, but confidence, I don't feel it works that way. I feel like you have to... It's a difference between me faking it and me practicing it until I get it right. I feel with confidence, you don't fake confidence. I'm not telling you to fake confidence. I'm telling you to take the tips, even if you don't take my tips. Even if you Google some tips and you look them up, you see things that work for you, things that don't work for you. You take those tips, you apply them to your life, you work at them, and eventually, that'll be who you are. I wasn't always like this. Even me being in front of this camera and me posting these videos is crazy to me sometimes, because this was not always how I was. Like, I used to be a lot quieter. You can't pay me to stop talking now. You can't pay me. Show me the bread. I'm gonna throw it back at you. You can't pay me to stop talking. But a long time ago, maybe I'll give you like maybe 5 years ago, when I was like 19. When I was like 19, 18, I was a lot more in my shell. I wasn't no super introvert or nothing like that, but I was a lot more in my shell. I thought more about talking in general. Now I just be saying stuff. Y'all go in a room full of strangers and I bet you before I leave the room, I know everybody's name in there. I'm really good at networking now. Really good at making positive impressions on people, as far as I can tell. And I'm really good at shaking the room. And after you get done with my series, you might be too. You might be that now. That's the thing. You cannot doubt yourself. This is like sidebar tangent, but subcategory. You cannot doubt yourself, especially when you're developing a sense of self-confidence. You cannot doubt yourself. You are your biggest hero, and you are also your biggest enemy. I don't know if y'all watch anime. You're one for all, and you're all for one. You have to balance this. I don't know about you. I'd rather be one for all. So that's kind of how I live my life. Y'all get my personality. I'm moving my eyebrows. That's how I live my life, though. Like, and I feel like that's how y'all should too, especially moving through these situations that we move through as people. Like I said, there are people here that they'll see you working at these things, and their objective is nothing but to tear you down, and you just gotta, stay prayed up. You gotta stay positive, and you just gotta brush it off. Y'all, I know people, there are people that I have in my life that literally come around just to bug me, and I literally take it as flattery. It's kind of funny, actually, because it doesn't bother me that much. My next tip is you have to be able to accept criticism. And I will say this, criticism comes in different forms. So, and a lot of people speak different. I've learned that too, being a communications major and a journalist. A lot of people you could put 15 people in the same room, tell them to say give them like a general gist of a conversation. Tell them to say this in other words. Put it in your own words. You're going to get 15 different sayings for this one subject. Different people say different things different ways. So when you are being criticized, you kind of have to be able to autocorrect it. You have to develop a tougher skin, but also be able to autocorrect it, because sometimes people will say things that hurt you. On this platform, for example, a lot of people get in comments and they say like the rudest things they could think to say to people to deter them from their goals. But I see a lot of people turn their comments off. I see a lot of people just say thank you to the haters and things like that. But it's kind of just imperative to just take everything people say to you with a grain of salt. And closing the video out, my last reason/tip. You have to remember that this life is nobody's but yours. You only get to be you one time. And I don't know about you, but I know about me. I want the most optimal experience out of this life as I could possibly get. So even if that's me shutting out certain people, me bringing other people in, me bringing other people in, me shutting those people out, vice versa, etc., whatever way you may have it. Whatever you have to do to make your life the absolute best, do that for yourself. It's just, all of these things have to do with consistency. You just have to stay consistent with yourself and trust yourself. Like I'm trusting myself right now. I trust myself to get on camera and make these videos. No, I'm not the best public speaker. No, I'm not the best on camera. But one thing I am going to do is try. I feel like as long as you're trying, you never fail. Once you give up and you throw that white flag up and you throw the towel in, you're done. You're a failure. You failed. You got to get up. You got to keep trying. You got to keep pushing yourself and motivating yourself every day, because if you don't, another person to take your blessings. I don't know about you, but I want my blessings and some of y'all's. Don't fight me. Don't fight me. Don't fight me. Well, maybe I don't want y'all blessings. I just want some extra blessings on my sandwich. If I got the blessing sandwich, I want a little extra meat, a little extra lettuce, an extra tomato or two on my sandwich. So I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I'm gonna play my part. But you make sure you're playing yours. Wrap this video up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys want to hear about anything specific, get in the comments and let me know. And y'all already know. I'll see y'all later. Bye.